Good morning, it's Vaughan at westcoastbellpottery.ca in Nova Scotia, Canada. This company, Vevor, just sent me a new wheel that they say is a direct drive rather than a belt drive. And it made me interested because I remember a long time ago when Shimpo came out with that. We're talking 35 years ago or 40 years ago probably. And somebody can correct me on that because it was a long time ago. And it was a better type of wheel, I thought. And I have 4 Shimpos, I guess, in the studio. So I have a couple of Brents as well, and the belt drive ones. And they all work and they've lasted decades and all that. So we know that those expensive wheels will last you a lifetime. This wheel is going to get you going into pottery without too much outlay of finances because they're very inexpensive. I've got 3 reviewed so far, and the 3 that are out there, nobody has come back to me. I gave them away and nobody came back to me and said it broke. And one of them's been in service now for 2 years since the first review that I gave them. And I've had my students or subscribers on YouTube now say to me that they bought them and they liked them, and I've had one guy say that he had problems with it, but I think he got the issue resolved. He never recontacted me after I contacted people at Vevor myself for him, but they actually are producing wheels that I think will get hobbyists into the actual craft of pottery. For only $200 or $300 they can get a wheel and basically off they go. And the kiln's a different matter. You've got to be serious to want to buy a kiln. And hopefully that will happen for you. But anyway, I'm going to unpack this and let you see what it comes like. They always ship them really well in heavy duty cardboard. So this is the 4th one. There's no damage in the shipping. Really thick, rigid cardboard. So I'm very impressed that they do actually spend the time, because when you send equipment out, if it's hardly packed, it's not, it means you don't respect your devices. It's small, and that could be a negative, but it could also be a positive, because this thing now can be transported anywhere you go. So if you wanted to go to a craft fair and do a little demo while you're at a craft fair, you got a wheel to do that. And also for kids, this is actually a perfect size, I think, for kids. Let me think, first impressions are very neat, very tidy. The splash pan is the usual one that we get with Vevor, so it's fairly heavy duty. I don't think it's as heavy as a Brent, but it's pretty substantial. Usually they just like that come apart, and they've got these little bumps on the other side. Do it, but you put it back on the wheel, and it just clicks together like that. So the splash pan is easy to actually put together and take apart. What I do with the other Vevor wheels, underneath this little area here, because you've got the 2 joins there, the water will leak from the splash pan. As your wheel is spinning, it will actually drive. Let's see. Wow, they listened. I actually said to them that because the wheel spins here in the west, anti-clockwise, on the other wheel I had, the gap was actually open on this side, so the water scooted right underneath and actually escaped because of the speed the water was hitting this gap. Now they've changed it around so that the gap actually is sealed on that side and it's open on this side, and the same on the opposite side here, so that water spinning can't escape underneath there. So that was a criticism I did, and they listened. So hey, if a company or a corporation listens to you, that's impressive. Anyway, it looks good. It came with the usual sewing machine type foot pedal, which I think, you know, the other ones seem to be staying. You know, I've had no complaints from the people I gave them to. So, so basically this thing seems to be durable enough to last. This is your cable to plug it in. They give you an entire tool package, which is probably worth about 20 bucks. So if you go to Michael's Crafts, I think you'll probably end up paying around $20 for that. These, I warn people, are a set of tools. Do I have a knife here? Which I tell people be really careful with because they're super sharp. So you got a complete set, and I don't know, some of these, that's useful. These curly ones, I don't know, I've never used them. But the straight edge one, they're a bit sticky because of the plastic coating. But these are really useful, that's useful. That probably, you know, depends on what you're doing. But these look like very good, well-made tools. And I don't know how much these cost, but they come free with every Vevor wheel. These look like the feet to actually put on. They've got a screw thread, so you screw them on the underside of the wheel. But there's 4 of them, that's good. You know, when people pack these things in a factory, you can sometimes have a piece missing. So it's always good to count it in. And the apron that I will never wear. I've got a really big apron. This is a small one for a child, I think. Now, I opened up the other one and it said, you know, it's fine little apron, keep you fairly clean, but I think it's meant for a child. And a nice book, tells you all about it. This is pretty standard too. This comes with every Vevor wheel, explaining the tools and all the rest of it. So the next thing I have to do is plug this guy in and see whether it, you know, goes fast. It's got some humph behind it. It's important for a serious studio potter to be able to throw a really big lump of clay, but I'm not going to get that with this one because this isn't aimed at the studio potters market. This is aimed at the hobbyist market, so I think it's meant, you can get it for your kids for Christmas. And if you've got a pottery studio and you want to have students coming in, you want to teach somebody, this would be a good wheel to get them going on because it's very small. It can only throw, my guess is it'll throw or center about 6 to 8 pounds of clay max and all that. But that's more than most people will need in the first couple of years of being a potter, because you have trouble centering clay when you first get going. You have trouble with a pound, but after a year or two you should be able to throw 6 pounds, maybe even 8, but it depends on how often you throw. Now this is the underside of the wheel, and it looks to me like it's fairly neatly put together. It's not a very heavy wheel, so this isn't heavy gauge steel. But you would never do this at home, but I'm going to take a look inside and see what it's got underneath. Okay, so this is what we have on the inside of this wheel. And I'm not an electrician, and Vevor sent me their certificate of compliance with the North American manufacturing stuff. So we know that their stuff passes the regulations. But this is your motor, and this is where the wheel comes through, and that's probably the drive mechanism in there. I'm not taking that apart. So we've got to assume that there is a mechanism there with a drive spiral type thing which connects with the other thing, goes down, and they'll just kind of do their little binding stuff, and some engineer will probably explain what that's called. I think maybe Freddie would be able to describe that a little better in the comments. But anyway, it looks like it's fairly compact, very neat and tidy. So I'm quite happy. They've got a touchpad controller there, so I think that's all I need to show you, because it's beyond my engineering skills to describe any more than that. Okay, so it goes back together fairly easy, because we have a really wet pottery situation in a pottery studio, what I might do with this, if I put it into, I'm building a new studio, so maybe I'll keep this one and really test it. So I would duct tape a seal all the way around here with white duct tape, because water's going to dribble down here and probably seep underneath here into the area inside. So just as I'm assuming that's not going to, water doesn't rise up on sheet clear metal like that, so it's not going to get into the devices that drive the machine. But just for cleanliness, I think I would actually duct tape this all the way along. Of course, you could also get some caulking and just caulk all the way around here to seal that so no water could get up inside there. Now the legs just screw in. They've sent a small Allen key here. I'll have to read the instructions to see what that is about. Now we've got to plug it in. Okay. Vevor gives you this little safety switch thing on them, so that you can actually turn it off and on using this. And so let's see what happens. Yep, it just turned on. And if you've got a green button here which says test, and that turns it off. Yep, just turned off. So we'll turn it on. And then, I haven't read the manual yet. I'm just looking at it. It looks like it's working. That's lit. Ooh, it's like a computer. We've got hand tune, positive rotation. I'm assuming that's the normal anti-clockwise, which there's an arrow there pointing that way. And then you've got speeds. Oh, look how slow that's going. So you can speed it up just with a hand touch, and not even using the foot pedal. It's going really fast now. It's totally level. There's no vibration or bumping up and down. $300. I assume that means 300 revolutions a minute. But the wheel head is very smooth. There's no bumping my finger up and down. You can see that. And then we slow it down. Now, if your hand's got clay on it, you might want to cover this with a clear piece of plastic paper, plastic saran wrap. Okay, so we'll turn the hand tune off. Now we've got hand tune on. Okay, so hand tune is green. Oh, for foot adjustment. Okay, so if I turn that off, it's red. That's when you can do it with the buttons. Turn it on to green, and now I'm assuming you've got a foot adjustment. Really good. How sensitive is that? If the pedal is stiff, foot pedal is, it seems like you press it just a tiny bit and you've got speed, but it increases really fast, and yet you've got a lot more space to push the pedal. So you're going to have to get used to the fine tuning with that. Let's see what happens if we do, that's not going to do anything. And tune off. Now does the foot pedal still work? Nope, foot pedal doesn't work. This has to be green to make the foot pedal work. So you're going to have to get used to the very sensitive foot pedal for speed, because they've given you a really large amount of leverage on this wheel, foot pedal, and yet most of it is within the first fraction of when you're turning it on. But it's very sensitive, and it goes down fairly nice. I'll have to sit on it to actually see how this goes. I'm not sure if that's something you can adjust in the foot pedal or not, but that's my first thing, is you've got all this space for the foot pedal. You can see how much it can go down, and yet go all this way back, nothing's changing. And then it starts changing, and it's really sensitive in that first area. So I don't know what that, if that's adjustable or not. But I would think that given so much, it would be nice if that was a little bit more less sensitive, and you had a broader area where you could change the speed. But when I sit on it, we'll see how good that works. And I guess you can reverse it. See whether that does anything. Yep, it's reversed now. So that's easy. Reversing is very easy. And it does come to a full stop, so that's really nice. I've always thought with one that I reviewed that it would never, you'd have to turn it off before it would come to a full stop. This one actually turns completely off. So the next thing I have to do is put some clay on this guy. Let's turn it off. Turns off easy. I would definitely put some cling film across this pad, and you could tape the cling film if you want to just at the top, so that it's just hanging there. But this will get dirty really quite quickly. E-warranty certificate. They've got technical support and e-warranty certificate with a website address right on the machine too, if you had problems with it. That's nice. All right, so my first impressions are that it's very neat, very tidy. It works perfectly, comes to a stop, got gradual speed increasing. The only thing I would say that I would do, like I said, I would put some duct tape around the bottom to seal that bottom, or use some caulking. You could take the bottom off and caulk the bottom piece and then screw it back on, and that would be totally tight then without any liquid getting in. When you release it, you'd have to cut through that caulking, obviously, if you ever had to go in there. But and then the foot pedal, great sensitivity, but it's all in the first half inch of movement rather than the full spectrum of the actual foot pedal that it moves. But we haven't thrown a thing on it yet, so I don't know if that's a problem. Okay, I've got it set up so that it's on my table here, and this is the speed with the foot pedal. It comes to a complete stop, but it speeds up really fast with the foot pedal. So that's going to take some adjustments. I'm not sure, as in, I guess I'll get used to it. Beat it. There's full speed, and there's lots more to press with the foot pedal, and it doesn't increase. So all the actual speed increases are coming in that first half inch of movement, and I think that could be a feature that could be improved upon. because your tendency is with your weight to actually just put more pressure on very quickly. But we'll see how we get on. This is 415 grams of clay. See, I'm just moving my body and it starts and stops the wheel. So got it stopped. Yeah, there's some damp bits on the wheel head. Now the wheel is very light, so it will move. We'll see how that works. It's definitely, with 1 pound of clay, it's not slowing down, but you can tell that there's a little struggling in the motor there. And I'm on full speed. I tend to throw fairly fast anyway, so it doesn't worry me if something's moving, circling, rotating fast, because I've got good control with the clay. Now the water's splashing into the splash pan, and because they modified the actual splash pan, it's not going underneath, which is a good improvement with that splash pan. So I'm managing to slow it, but it's hard to judge the speed because it speeds up so fast. Almost no movement with your foot speeds it up. Okay, I'm getting used to the foot pedal a little bit now. Yeah, I got used to it. But I'm an experienced potter. I'm also not used to throwing standing up, so maybe if I was sitting down this would be a little easier to control. Remember, we have the push pad as well on the front, but I haven't covered that in saran wrap, so I don't want to dirty that up yet. So the next thing that I want to see is when you've taken this off, this is a small splash pan, and the wheel head is not a full-size wheel head. I'd say that's about 10 inches across rather than 12, which what most are. That we have to get this off the wheel. So I'm just going to dribble the water around because the speed increases pretty fast, and now I need a wire. There we go. So we cut through, and it moves straight away. That's good. Now I'm not going to turn the speed on. This is one of the things that last splash pan was hard to take apart. This one is easy. It came right off very easily, and I'm able to slide it right off the wheel. So that's a big improvement. The splash pan coming off is very nice. It comes off so easily. Right, splash pan back. Yeah, that's a big improvement. Last ball of clay was 415 grams, which is what I normally throw a mug from. This is actually 575 grams, so a little less than 1.5 pounds. So I'm pressing pretty hard. You can hear it struggles a little bit, but it's not slowing down too much at all. So I'm pressing hard and coning it up a bit. Now let's see what can get it opened up a bit. Remember, you can actually compress your base. Somebody just called me, sent me a message about they're getting cracks in the bottom of their pieces. This is what you do to get rid of cracks in the bottom of the pieces. You take clay from this outer wall area and bring it to the center and compress it, and that will prevent S-cracks, as long as you're not making it too thin at the bottom, because that's also part of the problem with S-cracks, is because you made it too thin. So I'm going to try throwing a ball. Now that I'm sort of getting used to the foot pedal a little bit. If I was sitting down, this would be a little easier, I think. Bowls flare out more, so controlling the speed is much more important with a bowl. That noise is not too annoying, but it's definitely got more noise than the last wheel they sent me. I recommend that wheel that I've reviewed first, which was the best one of the lot, but it was also the one that was more expensive. That one at the time I think was $350. So if I was to make this go really fast now, the ball would flare out very quickly and collapse, obviously. So you've got to be very careful with this foot pedal, that you get used to it being such a small movement, and it speeds up or slows down. Let's get this off my hands. I'm going to try and open this up, see whether it comes off easily. Not bad. It's about getting used to that little tiny fraction of movement that you actually can do with your foot that will make it go fast. This is one of those noodle bowls that I make. So it worked fine for 1.5 pounds of clay. If you were beginning to do pottery, it's very easy to make it spin fast, so be very careful of that. It'll take some getting used to. Okay. And then we
I'm going to try taking this off without the water. Let's see if it worked. No, it didn't. I'm going to put some water around it. I've got pot lifters I could use to get this off if I wanted to, which make it easy, but so now we've got to unclip it again. Very easy. And then be careful you don't actually speed it up at this point, obviously. And then you can take it off. So 1.5 pounds of clay worked perfectly. Okay, this is the big one, 3 pounds of clay. This is, my guess is this is too much for this wheel, but we'll see. Sometimes you can center a piece of clay. Oh, not bad. Well, we can still throw 3 pounds of clay. Okay, I'm pressing really hard and it's still going fine. It's not like I can stop it. I can hear it, the motor is actually struggling or whining a little bit louder, but I couldn't stop it, so 3 pounds is probably not a problem. Then we open it up. No problem. Pulling out, so that's a lot of pressure pulling out, no problem. It's not like it's slowing down. Compress that middle area. Now we've got to be very careful because this is a wide piece. I'm taking the foot pedal right back to where it just barely touches. And see how it's speeding up a bit faster than I want? Because I'm not used to the foot pedal. It's like when you buy a car, you got to get used to it. But because I'm standing up, this is also a lot harder. I'm used to sitting while I throw. So I'm really concentrating on that foot pedal, making sure I don't speed it up, because this is big. If I just misjudge this, this is so big that it would collapse if it's speeded up. That's why getting used to this foot pedal would be really important. But you know, first time throwing this, This is brand new. I'm throwing on a wheel I've never thrown on before, and I'm managing to throw with it. So there's no reason to why I should think that if you bought one of these, you wouldn't be able to do the same. And if you're a beginner, you're going to have a problem on every wheel you sit on if you don't know how to throw yet. With this wheel, you've only spent maybe a couple of $100. I don't know what, I'll have to look at the price of it. But I suspect this one will only be at the most a couple of $100. That's not a bad ball. There we go. Did I do the outside? Yep, I just put a sponge off the edge. When you first put your foot down, it speeds up fast. And then you've got to pull back almost straight away. There we go, we got one. So I haven't used one of these before. It's a new model they've brought out. My guess is it's very affordable because all of the Vevor stuff is. I have, would say it's a hobby wheel, but it would function in any pottery studio if you wanted a wheel that we could just, quickly set up anywhere. If you're going on a mobile mission to a craft fair, you could take it with you very easily, and it's working fine. If you use this for a year or two as you're learning to make pottery, and you get to the point where you really want to be able to throw bigger pieces of clay, then I would get yourself a Shimpo or a Brent. Those are my two favorite wheels. They're the only ones I have in the studio. I got rid of my creative industry ones, sold them to my students, and that was it. They're the only other make I've got the Pacifica wheel, but we won't talk about that. Anyway, so I don't think they make those anymore, but that had electrical problems and I gave up on it. But anyway, a couple of $100. I'll give you the links in this video for actually purchasing it in Canada or in the USA, and I think I don't think you can go wrong if you get it. It seems to work perfectly fine. So thumbs up on it. Remembering it's a hobby wheel. This is what I was talking about, and there's hardly any of it. There's a few drips here from the splash pan, but me pulling it apart and opening it. But this is sealed all the way along, so I don't think there's any worry about that area whatsoever. And the paint job on this is actually fairly decent too. But if you're going to be making a lot of pieces repetitively over a period of an hour or two, I would just get a sponge and push it under the splash pan there, and it would catch any drips anyway. But that's hardly anything, and I just threw 3 pieces on here. Something I thought about afterwards, this wheel head is totally smooth. There's no scratchiness or anything on it, and one of my subscribers said they bought one and there was some sharp lines or burrs on the wheel head when they bought it. If that was on yours and after you'd got one of these, I would just use some emery paper, and while it's spinning, just run your emery paper across it. That's like a 1-minute fix if that was ever to happen to you. The underside of the wheel itself, it's got a black pad there, which I assume is sealed well, so the water can't dribble underneath that actual black area there. I don't know, I can't see very well. My guess is that there's some sort of rubber seal underneath that, but it wouldn't hurt if you had a caulking gun. You could actually, no you can't, because the splash pan has this flap. This is what goes underneath that little black thing. So my guess is they have a rubber seal under there to stop water from seeping down into the motor underneath there. But that little black flap there that hangs up is meant to be like that, so don't do anything to that. This is probably, as they clamped it together, when they put it together, there must be some sort of gasket seal underneath there. Okay, I just cleaned it, washed it up. Looks like nobody used it. So it cleans up very easily. I even dropped the splash pan in one of the halves and it didn't break on the floor. So basically this thing is pretty good. So get yourself one for Christmas. Why not? It's perfect for kids, I would think. And I know that, you know, if you're worried about children throwing it, I would say 7, 8 years old would struggle, but they could make little bits of clay with it. So I would say that be careful, parental supervision. But a child could sit at this and just throw small things. The only problem with pottery wheel, you can get your little finger caught into a piece of clay and it will spin. So you've got to watch out for them, and when they're learning to do this, that they don't get their finger. Because clay is soft, it won't cut, but basically you might end up with it straining a finger or something. You just have to think of all these things that could happen and try and supervise. But for regular kids, teenagers, I don't think there's any problem whatsoever. So, and if, you know, some kids at 11, 12 are actually really big kids. So they might be able to use this too. Great Christmas present. Okay, so here is my VL Whisper wheel made by Shimpo next to the little wheel by Vevor. So if I want to convert this into a wheel that I can sit at, I need to make a platform for it. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. So I just cut 2 boards. They're both 1/2 inch, or I think 1/2 inch plywood, and I've cut 2 of them to make it inch thick. And I'm going to screw them together, and they're 17 inches square to put the wheel on. I placed the wheel on top of this piece of plywood and drew around the actual feet so that I could get the positioning. And then I took 1 foot off, one of the round feet, and I'm going to draw a complete circle using that, and then cut out each of the holes in the top piece of plywood. You can see I've drawn around with a permanent marker. I'm going to cut the hole inside that black line using a jigsaw. So I'll need to drill a hole, about a 1/4 inch drill, so I can get the jigsaw in there. So I just cut out these holes using a jigsaw, and that is the top board. So the bottom board does not have any holes cut out, and that's just sitting on the floor down there. And I will screw these boards together now, so that it makes one thick board with holes in the top piece, so I can fit the legs in, and the legs just fit nicely right in there. So now I have got the holes cut. I've screwed the 2 big square boards together using 9 screws, 3, 6, 9. No, 10, one in the center, and glued it to, and I've cut legs at 9.5 inches high, and my board is actually 1.5 inches high. So we're going to gain 10.5 inches in height with this wheel, but the legs of the wheel are going to sink inside about half that, so maybe 10 inches in height. So the whole thing I'm hoping will be about 10 inches higher than the wheel is already. Now all the wheels that I have 2 legs at the back and 1 at the front, so I'm going to imitate that. Instead of 4 legs, I'm going to make 3 legs on this. So I've just put it together there, and I've got a double leg at the front and then the 2 at the back, and I may double up on the back too. So it's got a thicker area, but that is the actual lot that I'm going to screw together now. So I just screwed those 2x4s together to make a 4x4. So these 4x4 legs are 9.5 inches high. They will be positioned just like that, and then the whole thing sits on those legs just like that, and I'm going to put some 3.5 inch screws all the way down into each leg to make it really as stable as possible. And I'm not sure if I'll need any stabilizing pieces of wood underneath yet or not. How stable is it? Pretty darn stable. Let's see what this is like. Oh. So that's my little platform to sit this wheel on, and now I want to find out how much higher it is than it was before. And there's the wheel finished, and it's exactly the height of the other wheel. So I just rounded off those little corner things there, so I can sit with my legs a bit tighter in around that, and we'll see what that feels like. This is great. This works really good. This is exactly the height that I want, so I can try throwing on this again and plug it in. Okay, for this part of the video, I'm going to use the wheel to throw on as normal, just to see how it works. And I've done some modifications. I've got my stand underneath here. I've got a piece of cling film stuck across the actual touchpad at the front. So if I decide to just use the touchpad for speed, I can do that. And I've got my foot pedal there. And remember I said the foot pedal is actually very sensitive. So I'm going to try throwing on this and see how we go. There you go. These are just under a pound, so it's quite adequate to throw a pound of clay. There's hardly any slowing down. I'm pressing the foot pedal down, it stays full speed. And I always center on full speed, so that's not a problem. Now I'm putting the hole in, still not a problem, it can stay on full speed. Well, that noise depends on what you're used to, basically, because I throw on a Shimpo Whisper, which is almost silent, and so that noise, you just have to get used to it if you want to buy an inexpensive wheel. Okay, so now we're going to slow it down a bit. It is difficult to judge the speed. Just like getting used to it. There you go. I found the speed anyway there. The problem is you tend to go a little hard on the foot. That would be the issue as a beginner, I think. I would build myself a little shelf at the edge of this wheel, because I've got that stand underneath here now, so I can add things to it. So if I wanted to build a shelf that goes across it, I could have a shelf with all my tools on. You can hear from the noise when it's going fast or slow. As far as the height goes now, this is perfect for me, and I'm sure you might tweak it up or down an inch or less or more, but whatever you feel comfortable at. For me, this is absolutely perfect. And I've built, it's like 9.5 plus the thickness of the wood, which is about 1.5 inches, I think. So about 9.5, 10, 11 inches higher I had to raise this wheel up. And then getting it off. Did I bring a wire over? Yes, I did. I've just moved this whole setup over into this space so the customers can see a little bit. That was easy enough. And then this just unclips and you slide it off. So that's easy too. So I've got the foot pedal now. Kind of, it's hard, but I got it. I've managed to control it. But I would say the foot pedal would benefit from having a broader range, become slow to fast. So you could press the foot pedal further and have a less sensitive. Can I lift that without? It's going to bend if I do that, but it's straightened a little bit. Yeah, so I didn't have to take the foot pedal apart. I mean the splash pan apart. So that was nice. But it would be nice if the splash pad was wider gap here, but I guess that's asking for a lot. So let's go back to the revs. We're going to make it go full speed. And then I'm going to turn it off. So now going onto the touchpad, so it brings it to a stop straight away. I've got to go check my gas kiln. We're back onto the foot pedal. Oh, I should have told you, this is BMX5 clay. So it's one that I really like to throw. It's very buttery. So that was fine. Let's see if I can pull it off without, yeah, it did, without it spinning, because I know a lot of people hate to take things off when the pot is spinning. It makes you nervous. So lift it. It doesn't bend too much. And plonk it down. We're giving it a real test. I bang things around, you see, so if the thing is built badly, you know, I could break something on the inside with the banging, so I'm just trying to give it a real test. So you know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to throw a bunch more. So I don't need to drag the video on forever. You can actually catch up with me when I've got all 24 done. Is that going to come off? Yep. Because this will just become very repetitive if I keep you on for the whole time. But this means I can lift these up quite easily. So bye for now. Okay, this is the last ball of clay. So I had 6, 12, 18, 20 mugs here. So it's been doing the same. I'm a little better at the foot pedal. I've been banging the clay down because I wanted to treat it like it would be treated if you had it in a studio. because if it's weakly put together, all that banging will loosen something, but I haven't found anything different from the first to the last. I'm just better at adjusting that foot pedal speed. So, I think the bottom line is, this is an inexpensive wheel. It probably will be your beginner potter's wheel, if you get one. And then as you get better at throwing, you want to throw bigger lumps of clay. This probably wouldn't be able to do things above 3 or 4 pounds. It might be able to go 5 or 6 if you were using soft clay. This clay is very stiff that I'm using here. It's actually a year old. But I think it's your first beginner potter's wheel, you know, for very little outlay. And as you get better, see, that's the adjustment thing. Trying to keep it just going slowly so I don't throw the pot off onto the floor. You know, and then when you want to throw 6, 7, 8, 10 pounds of clay, you're going to have to get yourself an expensive potter's wheel. So that's my review. Production, 20 mugs. Works great. Build a stand for it. Cover your trackpad, cover the little digital pad with some cling film, and then I think it's great. You know, for such a small amount of money, you're going to learn how to throw on the wheel.